So the year is 2010. I'm in 4th or 5th grade. I have just come back home from school, finished all my homework, so now I just have a bunch of free time. I don't really feel like watching TV because cable is just RNG at this point, so I hop on the family computer. The PC is a cross between a toaster and a potato. It was running Windows 7 and had an Intel Xeon processor or something. No graphics card. I couldn't run any actual games on the computer, so to play any games at all I had to rely on anything that was flash-based browser games. At the time there were plenty of options to go to play games. You had Miniclip, Addicting Games, Armor Games, Cool Math Games, Congregate, Newgrounds, Nitrome, and a ton more. And despite all these choices, there was one website I'd always go to, and that was stickpage.com. So in a time before TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, we had Stickpage, the place where everything was about punching people in the face. Before we had AAA games, indie games even, we had Stickpage with its simple 2D animation and janky UI. Stickpage taught me two things. One, tee-hee funny Stickman is capable of extreme violence and immeasurable suffering, and two, my parents' computer was one misclick away from becoming the world's largest virus pinata. So Stickpage at one point was known as Stickman. It was a website created in 1999 by a guy named Jason Whittam, also known as Crazy J. The website became the main forum where stick animators showed off their animations and uploaded stick-based flash games. Stickpage grew big enough to where it actually acquired Fluid Anims, which was another popular stick figure-based community site. So after this, stickpage.com pretty much became the main hub for all your stick-based content. Stick games, stick fights, and other stick animations. And man, did stickpage.com have some of the best content on the internet. As a kid, I went to Stickpage for the games. There were a lot of games, and not the typical stuff you'd find on other websites. Other places had games like Bloxors and Raft Wars. Balloons was fun, and who could forget the Impossible game, but I was looking for something more. I wanted more action, I was almost in middle school. I wanted some violence. The Stickpage games were perfect for that. The games were well animated, edgy, and fun to play. So here are some of my favorites. Stick War, right? In Stick War, players controlled an empire and you play through a campaign to conquer territory. And the core gameplay involved managing resources, constructing units, and engaging in battles against other countries. It was pretty in-depth. You could unlock units and upgrades. Eventually if you upgrade the club-wielding guys enough, they eventually get swords. And a unique thing you could do in the game is you could take control of one of the battlefield units yourself, which would make it stronger, and each unit had their own unique controls and abilities. It's like the most basic version of an RTS-style game, but at the time, I'd never seen anything like it and it blew my mind. Sift Heads, this wasn't just a game, it's an entire series, and you could say it's its own universe. So you had the main games, you had Sift Heads 0 through 6, then you had the games that built on that, including Sift Head Renegades, Sift Heads Assault, Sift Heads Cartels, and Sift Heads Worlds, all of which have their own multi-game stories and acts. It kind of epitomizes everything that drew young me to Stickpage, and a lot of violence and edge. The series focused on three main characters. You had Vinny, ex-Mafia, considered the best assassin and bounty hunter in the world. You had Kiro, ex-Yakuza assassin, fights with a katana, cool ninja guy. And then you had Shorty, main sniper, master assassin, and Vinny's girlfriend. Let's be real, the character model can no longer be considered a stick person. Adding cannons like that to a stick figure is absolute crazy. And you pretty much switch between these three characters throughout the series, but the stories revolve around Vinny mostly. And the games are as you expect. You run around, you shoot people, you do some sniping, and a flash game that had a long-running story and universe like that was wild. The violence and action were detailed and top-notch for sure. And then you have the Henry Stickmin series. Absolute banger. It's a series of 5 point-and-click choose-your-own adventure games where you play as Henry Stickmin, and you're put into different scenarios where you're given different options on tools to use or actions to take. And each of them have their own outcomes and animations that go with it. And the series started off as a one-off game where you're trying to use different methods to break into a bank, where only one of them actually worked. And then as the series go on, they get better animated, they get funnier, it gets more complex as the game starts to have branching paths and alternative endings based on different options that you pick. The series was super entertaining and it was really unique. It was really funny, it had a lot of parody and references to stuff at the time. Now we get to the real reason StickPage was big. This is when boys became men. It's through the animations. I said earlier, StickPage was the hub for stick animators to show off their stick fighting animations. Big animators on StickPage included Turquoise and Hyun. Tons of animations were made as tributes to action movies and games like Ip Man and Super Smash Bros. There were even multi-episode series like Castle and Operation on the website. There is plenty of stick fight content out there on stickpage.com. And so here are a few notable ones and some of my favorites. So Xiao Xiao. When opening StickPage Animations tab, it was labeled as the Fights tab. Pretty much the first thing that always showed up at the top was the Xiao Xiao section. Xiao Xiao is essentially the progenitor of modern stick fight animations. It was created by a guy named Zhu Ji Chang and originally released on Newgrounds. It was pretty much the first of its kind, and the premise was simple and easy to follow. It's just a stick guy fighting other stick guys. What more do you need? It's actually insane that this was all done as a Flash animation. Adobe Flash. With a few stickmen, he was able to convey movie quality action. The way the animation was smooth and kinetic, the different camera angles, and the pacing of the fights. Honestly, it's cinema. Honestly, some modern movies and animations can't even compare. They wish they were Xiao Xiao. And at one point, the creator of Xiao Xiao even sued Nike because Nike used a stick figure in a couple of their commercials, and the guy won. And then you have Kill the Spartan. This was like my first introduction to stick fights. And the premise is simple, right? All you did was pick a way for the Spartan to die. Then a stick fight would start where the Spartan ends up getting killed by whatever option you chose. All the fights in this are absolutely insane, and I recommend you guys go watch it for yourself. It is what got me interested in stick stuff. Then you have Slush Invaders, a series created by Gilded Guy based on a bunch of dudes he knew in his dorm hall at Virginia Polytechnic. It's a super colorful animation that features a ton of different stick people, each with their own unique fighting styles and powers, coming together to fight off an army. It's my personal favorite stick animation ever created. The music choice is good, the colors, the powers that they came up with, it's all super cool, and the animation's hella hype. They even made a sequel via a Flash game, and I think I only played it a few times. So if you guys want to check out peak stick figure stick fight animation, I'll link it in the description below. Check it out. Now that I think about it, these animations really changed my brain chemistry. It affected my life in so many different ways. It's funny to think that I learned to identify and appreciate good fight choreography and action sequences from videos of stick figures throwing hands. My love of action movies and martial arts come from StickPage. These videos are one of the things that inspired me to, take up and learn martial arts. I just wanted to be a faceless stick guy beating up my ops. Hyun's stick figure spotlight videos got me hyped to play League of Legends. I was pogging out of my gourd when one of his animations played at Worlds in 2016. When I hung out with my friends, I talked about StickPage. We'd play Modern Warfare 2 and we'd watch StickPage stick fights. It's crazy. It's dead. StickPage is dead, unfortunately. Adobe Flash was discontinued on December 31st, 2020, and everything on StickPage was Flash-based, so the platform was abandoned. If you go to the website now, it's still in its original state. Everything looks like it did 20 years ago. Stuff just doesn't work because Flash isn't there. But it's not like people stopped making stick fights and animations. Animators were already leaving StickPage to go to places like YouTube and Hyun's Dojo. Someone on Reddit said that StickPage.com was starting to lose people, and the exodus started happening around 2013, 2014. Hyun's Dojo is a community space created by Hyun, right? The OG stick fight animator for, making stick fights and stick animation. They have a pretty big YouTube channel and a website, forum place where people talk about animations they're working on and characters they've created. And if you go to their website now and watch the stuff they've made, it's absolutely insane. And the quality is out of this world. If you want to see the sickest stick fights ever made and some of the greatest animation ever, compared to anything, go watch Hyun's Dojo stick fights. Absolutely insane. Who needs Disney and Pixar when you have Hyun's Dojo? Puffball is the creator of the Henry Stickmin series. He's still making stuff, and after StickPage in that era, he went on to make a small game called Among Us. Bet you guys have never heard of it. And I know Gilded Guy still makes animations. He also like does art, and I think he did stuff with Fortnite a while back. As for everyone else, I have no idea. I hope they're all good though, because those stick fights, they made up my childhood, and those were simpler times. And some of you guys didn't watch stick fights growing up, and it shows. So if you missed out on that, now's the time to check out Hyun's dojo, watch some Xiao Xiao videos, learn the stick lore. It's a good time. If you guys grew up on Stick Page, let me know what your favorite games were, let me know what your favorite animations were, and I'll see y'all later.